Like some of you, I remember a time before superheroes were absolutely everywhere. The idea of superhero movies, let alone interconnected universes, was a ridiculous one. There was simply no money in it, and even if everyone on the cast and crew had the greatest passion for the project, and, respect for the source material, without the right funding, it just wasn't going to work. And, the right technology as well. I will admit that's probably had a hand. But the small screen hasn't fared much better. We can all point to, the breakaway hit, if you will, the 60s Batman series, which also cemented Adam West as a cultural hero to many. But that's really, like I say, the breakaway hit. There's been various attempts, mainly from the DC camp that I'm aware of, that just haven't had the same cultural impact. And it's been a bit of a desert. But in the last sort of 30 years, give or take, there has been a slow attempt at getting superheroes on the big screen to just be a normal thing, particularly again with Batman forging the way. But there's been a lot of missteps. But, we've now got to the point, I'd say within the last sort of decade, where it's a viable thing. Like I say, there's interconnected universes now, it's financially viable, and also the technology's there. We can render these fantastic feats kind of believable. These far-off worlds that we see in things like the more cosmic side, like Guardians of the Galaxy, we can believe that these places are there and they're flying in a spaceship to them. We can believe that a talking tree can exist because the technology's there and the funding's there. And that's great. And the small screen's getting its own, resurgence, if you will. No longer is Batman the only thing that ever happened to superheroes on the small screen. We've got the ABC series, we've got the CW's DC line, the Arrowverse, if you will. And of course, the main topic of this video, the Netflix group, the street-level Avengers, if you will, that has obviously recently culminated in the Defenders. Now, this has been a little over a 2-year journey. It was April 2015 when Daredevil Season 1 was released. And that was an interesting way to start. I thought it was a great start. I thought it was an interesting introduction to the idea of, there's the big guys, who are out there fighting like the aliens and the big, world-changing situations. But what about, the cities that we know and love, like New York? Everyone knows New York. From one end of the world to the other, New York is a universal language, and I think it was a great idea. Obviously, that is where the characters are from anyway, but, I think it was a great idea to continue that, because everyone knows it in some form. And like I say, we went through that first year, as it were, with Matt Murdock, and then, we had Jessica, Luke, another year of Matt, which introduced us to the Punisher, which does look interesting. And of course the much maligned Iron Fist. Now, quick sidebar here, I don't get all the hatred. I didn't think it was as bad as people say it was. It's not the best of the Netflix series, and I'm not saying that at all. But I don't think it deserved all the hatred. I mean, I like political intrigue and kind of wheeling, dealing, businessy stuff, so maybe I'm an anomaly. But I know a lot of people didn't like it, and maybe that's why I respect it a bit more. But frankly, if you give me something, showing me Faramir going crazy, you've got me won over, and that's what Iron Fist had. But this isn't a video about Iron Fist. This is him, and Jess, and Luke, and Matt, coming together as the Defenders. And they did well. I know previous series had a bit of backlash about it dragging on a little, when they'd stretched it out perhaps a few more episodes than they really needed to. And I like the fact that they kept this condensed. They kept it to 8 episodes. They serviced, I think, all the character arcs very well. And then obviously brought them together at pretty much the halfway mark in the Chinese restaurant. It was about episode 4. And I think it was a great idea. Sort of give us this is what they've been doing. Just a quick reminder. Here's the people in their lives who are kind of important. And here they are now coming together, as the Defenders. Obviously they don't say that themselves, but that's what they are. They're the street-level Avengers. And like I say, it was well done. I enjoyed it. I mean, again, Danny, I think, got a bit sidelined, literally, in some episodes. And maybe that was because of the backlash, I don't know. But I think it was a good foray, and I like the fact that they made sure that they gave us enough attention to our favourite side characters, if you will, from the individual series. We got some time with Misty, we got Karen and Foggy, we got Trish. We had all this, we built these attachments to these people, I guess, through their individual series. And, I think it was great that we had them all coming together and interacting with each other, because, of course, whilst we've got the Defenders who are interacting, the people they care about are going to interact as well. You know, at the end of the day, it's New York. I mean, it's not a small city, of course, but, you know, it's still one city, and there's going to be crossover, and I like the fact that that's in place now. Now, yeah, it wasn't a perfect series. There are bits that, you know, weren't great. I'm not sure that everything that we had about the Hand was necessary. I'm not sure that everything about some of the side characters were necessary. I'm not, you know, but it was good for what it was. I enjoyed it as a way of bringing these people together in the same way that, you know, the Avengers had to do a very careful balancing act of making sure everyone was serviced correctly and appropriately. I think they've done that well with this. This is kind of like their Avengers, but of course they got to tell it over a longer period. And it had the right, you know, it had humour in it, like the subway scene. It had a lot of stakes, a lot of drama, but like I say, you know, sidelining poor Finn for some of it was a little unfair. But again, I'm standing up for the Iron Fist for some reason here. I don't know why. I didn't enter this with that intention, but that's what I'm doing. But I'm eager to see what happens next, because of course we're going to get more series, you know, of them individually, as well as probably another Defender series down the line. You know, we're obviously going to get the Punisher. Is that going to factor in? I know his methods are a lot kind of heavier than a lot of them are really into. They're a lot more heroic, if you will. They're a lot less eager for bloodshed than our good friend Frank Castle. But it could be interesting to see how he could interweave with them. And, you know, are we going to, because, you know, they've got their own individual series, are we going to see a lot of interweaving? You know, is it easier because it's TV? That's something that we'll find out down the line. You know, are they going to be able to call on each other, or are we going to have situations that we see in a lot of the standalone Marvel movies where it's like, well, why couldn't you call Captain America in on this? You know, it's going to be interesting to see, and I'm eager to really see where they go with it. And one of the interesting things that I'm glad they did was give us Misty losing an arm, because of course that is an actual thing that happens to her down the line. Obviously, if you don't know about all that, I'm not going to go into it in any more detail, but it's nice that they are servicing all characters well. So as a general overall, yeah, I enjoy the Defenders, and I'm eager to see the next few series. Just let me know in the comments what you feel like, and of course, as always, until next time, take care.